And there we go, we're live. Hello, so welcome to Planet Zoo. I've been waiting for this game for a while now. I played Planet Coaster, and is that Kev there? Oh, that's George. Okay. Okay, so there's George. Anyway, so yeah, I've been waiting for this game for a while now, and I've wanted to play since Planet Coaster. I liked Planet Coaster, but yeah, I want the fluffy animals. Okay, I don't give a fuck. I want fluffy animals. Anyway, so career. We're going to have a look at tutorials. So this is just basically tutorials right now. So I'm going to go through the tutorials, and see what it has to say. And then once we're done that, I'm going to go into sandbox mode. But that I don't know if I'll get through that in an hour. So start new. I wonder if it'll be like Planet Coaster as how you price the tickets. In Planet Coaster, you could price the tickets basically £3 for every 100 prestige points the ride had. So I wonder if it works similarly here, £3 for every 100 prestige. And you could get a lot of fucking money out of some rides. You could get them to charge. You could charge them £42 for a single fucking roller coaster. At that point, you have to have ATMs to make sure there are enough money to actually pay for your zoo or play roller coaster park.
Ah, heyo at Hematu. Yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I have a habit of slipping back into the Planko language. It's good to finally meet you in person. I'm Bernard, although I insist you call me Bernie. The only person who calls me Bernard is my wife. And even then, only when I've tracked elephant dung into the carpets. As you know, I own several zoos, but I always like to show people the ropes here at my home.
Shush, Devo.
This is the first zoo I ever opened, and a source of great pride for me. And prize, thanks to a lion breeding program we ran in the 80s.
Yes.
But we're in the middle of a big renovation, and that's where you come in.
Ooh.
Sadly, our old contractor had to retire after developing a fur allergy. Poor devil kept sneezing his dentures into the lion habitat. So, it's up to you to finish everything off. Don't worry, though. I'm not completely throwing you in at the deep end. My head keeper, Nancy Jones, will be lending a helping hand. Oh, she's a hard worker. And she'll expect you to be too. But I'm sure you'll get along like a house on fire, or even better, one that isn't on fire. Less shouting that way.
Sevo! Sevo! No
Hello
barkies.
there. From that rosy, fresh face of yours, I'm guessing you're Bernie's new hire. Good. Now, I hope you're ready to ditch your diploma because we're about to get really hands-on.
Are you in my lap now?
But
Yes.
before we begin the real work, how about we familiarise you with the zoo by learning how to fly around it and visiting some of our beautiful animals.
Yes.
We'll start by
It's
popping
Fluffy
over
Animal
and having a
Simulator.
look-see at the grizzly bears in their habitat.
The Fluffy Animal Simulator. Yes. Look at all the fluffy fluffies. Yeah. Okay, you're on back to the floor now. Yay. Okay, so locate the grizzly. Ow! Okay. Ow.
Did you know that grizzly bears,
Ow!
also known as Ursus arctos horribilis,
Stop going
can
on my toes.
hibernate for up to 7 months a year? Oh, but then again, given the chance, I think
keep
a lot
Fluffy
of
there.
people would do that too. Select one of the bears and you'll bring up its information panel.
Stop biting my toes, you dafty!
This is where you can find out all kinds of information about your animal. The most important thing being its overall welfare.
Civil!
You'll learn more
Stop!
about animal welfare today as we go through your objectives. But for now, let's enjoy this magnificent animal. Why don't you select the camera at the bottom of its information
Civil!
panel?
Will you stop biting my toes?
See now, this is a fantastic way to get a close look at your animals. You can also get this view of an animal by simply double-clicking on it.
Yes, it's a cute fluffy animal, Civil. It's not you.
Okay,
I'm
when
sorry.
you're ready, let's pop
Ah!
to the other
That's
side of
my
the zoo and take a look
toes!
at the lions. I've marked their location for you to find.
Yeah, excuse me for 1 second. I am getting a nice screenshot. Look here. Who's your bear? Oh, that's a good bear. Oh, you're a lovely good bear. You're a lovely bear. Who's a lovely bear? Who's a lovely bear? Yeah, you're a lovely boy too, Seville. Yeah, but can you stop going for my toes? Ah! That's my toes, Seville!
Vera Leo. All the West African lion to you and me. Lions are the most social of the big cats, and there can be as many as 40 lions in a
Toes,
pride.
Seville,
although
are
prides
mine.
of that size are pretty rare. As Bernie would say, those lions are awesome, which is precisely why I handle the training instead these days. Anyway, how about we get started on those objectives? Come on, let's head over to an empty habitat and see what we can.
Ow! Will you stop biting my toes, Seville? Yes, it's fluffy animals. It's not you. It doesn't mean you can bite my toes.
As you can see, it's a lovely space for animals, but it's missing a certain something. Well, two somethings. Warthogs.
Seville!
So I'd
Will
like
you
you to adopt a
stop?
pair of them. To adopt animals, we need to open the animal market,
Ow!
which is in the animal trading section.
Ow! Will you stop?
There we are, a pair of perfectly splendid warthogs for our zoo. Just click on them and select Adopt from the side menu. Normally the animal exchange would be full of animals, but I've emptied out the market while you learn how it works. The last thing I need is you accidentally ordering a dozen elephants.
Ah! Stop! Stop! Please stop, doggy! Doggy!
When you adopt an animal, it's automatically placed in the trade centre, where they're held until you're ready to move them into their habitat, which, as it happens, you are. So how about you move them into their new home?
Ow! Seville! You stop biting my
When you
toes!
ask for an animal to be moved into a habitat, your caretakers will go to the trade centre, collect your animal, and deliver them to your selected habitat. I've marked the trade centre's location, so let's go and watch the caretakers in action.
Where is it? Yeah.
Well, as you can see, those caretakers don't hang about. They'll move those animals to their destination
Will
as
you
fast as
please
possible.
stop?
Of course, normally we'd have to place the animals into quarantine before moving them into a habitat. But I am assured by a person of good standing that these warthogs are in the very rudest of health.
Seville,
Let's
will
get
you
the
stop
warthog
trying to get my
habitat finished up so we can keep
attention?
them nice and happy.
Come here.
You see,
Right,
each
come here.
animal in the
Come
zoo
here,
has
you.
an overall welfare
Come here.
statistic, basically
Yeah.
how happy they are. And
Stay in my
that
lap.
overall
Stay in
welfare
my lap.
statistic is
Be good.
itself
Calm
comprised
down.
of 4 different areas: nutrition, social health, habitat, and enrichment. Luckily, if you select an animal, you'll bring up their animal welfare information panel, which we saw earlier, where you can see how they're doing. That way, you'll know
Seville,
exactly
please,
what
just calm
areas need to be
down.
addressed. Don't worry if that's a lot to remember. You can always check the Zoopedia for more information.
Down.
Let's start by making sure we're taking care of the warthog's nutrition welfare. To do this, we'll need to place a food station and a drinking station. Now, each animal requires a different type of feeding station. And for the warthogs, it's a small feeding trough. So let's add one of those and a water bowl.
Now let's make the water not too far away.
Animals also require stimulation to keep them happy. Let's add a lovely mud bath for the warthogs to roll around in. That bath will count towards their enrichment welfare, specifically their toy enrichment welfare.
Oh, that is quite big. Let's put you away from the audience, possibly. Ah, fuck it. The audience can get soaked.
Oh, nice work. You've got a knack for this, I see. Now, our contractor had to leave in a hurry, so this place is in a pharaoh state. Unfinished thingamajigs and whatsits all over the shop. But the first thing we need to finish is the ostrich habitat. It's over near the hippos.
Yeah.
Oh, before we actually start building our ostrich habitat, let's pause the game. Just click the pause button in the bottom right
Seville!
corner.
Stop it! Stop it!
That's more like it. A quick break. Sometimes it's a good idea to pause the game whilst you're doing something which requires your concentration, because it'll stop the zoo spinning out of control while you're looking the other way. Let's keep the game paused while we get this ostrich habitat built.
Fucking dog.
Okay.
Yes.
Job number 1 here
Sweet.
is to add a habitat gate before we complete the barrier. Every habitat needs a habitat gate. After all, how else would the keepers get in and out? Just make sure it's hooked up to the path so the
Will
keepers
you
can
stop
reach
trying to
it.
go for the cable now? Why are you so antsy, boy? Oh, they want me to put the habitat gate in there. Aha, we want the gate.
Right. Let's complete the perimeter barrier so we can adopt us some ostriches. I've marked out an area for you to use, so I'd like you to finish off the perimeter using the brick barrier.
Shush!
Good work.
Calm,
Remember,
Seville.
before you can place animals in any habitat, it has to have a full loop of connected barrier. Now, you've probably noticed that guests can't actually see into this habitat at the moment. At least not without a stepladder. But seeing as they're banned, I'd like you to select a piece of barrier and swap out the brick for a glass barrier, so the guests can see in.
Seville, please stop trying to chew the bloody... Seville, please stop trying to chew. Oh, Seville, will you please stop? Yeah, we'll have that whole wall just be glass. Up to there. Yeah, how do I confirm this then? Seville! Seville! Stop! Seville! Seville!
There we go. Adding in more windows gives guests
Seville!
more opportunities to see the animals in a habitat. It's always best to make sure the guests
Eh!
get a good view into a habitat from the path they're walking on.
Seville!
Because it makes them
God's sake,
happy.
Right back.
And because this would be a pretty terrible zoo if they couldn't. The last thing we need to do is to add a donation box. You see, when guests enjoy the view of an animal, they'll make a donation. Just make sure you put them in easy-to-reach places, like near a viewing point. Donation boxes are one of the main sources of income for the zoo, so make sure you remember them. Now, before we adopt our ostriches, you should click the play button. After all, if the game's paused, then so are our caretakers, which will make it a bit tricky for them to deliver the ostriches, eh?
Right, adopt over. Yes, I get it. Animal training.
By the way, as well as pausing the game, you can speed the game up by clicking on the fast forward button. It'll run everything at 2 times and 5 times faster. It can be useful, especially if you're waiting for money to accumulate or for animals to be delivered to your habitat. Personally,
Stop it.
I use it when I'm
Calm
waiting for a
down
brew
now.
to finish. All right, you've finished the habitat, so it's high time we adopted those ostriches, don't you think? Let's get 4 of them in here.
Seville, will you please just stop? Calm down.
While we wait for them to be collected by the caretakers and brought to the habitat, you should get it ready for them. Add a suitable feeding station, water
Seville,
station, and an appropriate
please,
food
just
enrichment item.
settle down.
It's
No
often
more
best to
this.
place things like enrichments and feeding stations near to the habitat perimeter, so guests can get a really good view of the animals.
Seville, just Seville, will you please calm down, doggy? Just lay there and be nice. Stop. Seville, will you please stop? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. How do I rotate it? Seville, will you fucking stop? Why are you such in a fucking mood today, doggy?
Oh, good to see the ostriches have somewhere they can really stretch their legs.
Boy,
Did you know they can
please,
actually
just
run at
calm.
43 miles per hour? Oh,
alright.
heaven forbid they ever escape. The speed camera fines alone would bankrupt us.
Well, Bernie certainly seems impressed. Did he do his speed camera joke? Every time we get an ostrich. So, now we've made the ostriches' lives a bit better, let's do the same for the keepers, shall we? To make it easier for the keepers to feed the ostriches and hippos, we should build a new keeper hut. Keeper huts are where the keepers prepare the food for animals, so they should be placed near to the habitats to make sure the keepers don't waste their time walking when they should be looking after the animals.
Like, how do I spin this?
You'll need to rotate the keeper hut to get it to connect up to the path.
Right.
This keeper hut only has space for 1 keeper, but the larger keeper hut can allow multiple keepers to prepare food at the same time. Oh, but bear in mind that keeper huts and other staff facilities shouldn't be placed near to areas where there are lots of guests. Guests don't like seeing facility buildings, and it can affect their happiness. Negatively. In case that wasn't clear. Something that all facilities, shops, and a whole host of other objects need is power. And that obviously includes your newly built keeper hut. So let's place a transformer next to it, shall we? Now, the reason everything has gone blue is because you're using the power heat map. This map allows you to see what is and what isn't powered in your zoo. So, once you've placed your transformer, you can click in the bottom left to turn the heat map off. Lovely
Oh.
work. Now the keepers can start using the hut to prepare food, and thanks to where you've put it, they won't need to walk very far to deliver it to the ostriches and hippos.
Several.
Let's get on to your
please,
next
will you stop
objective then.
this? Just calm
Bengal
down.
tigers. We want to adopt some, but I'm afraid there's nothing ready for them yet. Head on over to the plot of land I've marked out. It's not too far away.
Radio.
Righty, your next job is to build a habitat. From scratch. And concrete and glass, I expect. So, go ahead and build it. Just make sure that the habitat includes that big hole we've dug. Oh, and don't forget to add a habitat gate to the barrier. Oh, and make sure the guests will be able to see the tigers.
Alright. Ow, ow, ow. Seville, will you please just calm down now? So you've got to build the wall first, and then... No, it's not, I think that big one is a... Big path is the main thoroughfare. Seville! You just calm down, boy! Seville, why are you off on a fucking rant again? Right, so where's the delete button so I can get rid of these walls? Seville! Why are you so fucking antsy right now, boy?
Now, Bernie takes safety very seriously at his zoos, so we should probably make sure those tigers can't jump out of their habitat, don't you think? The way we'll do it is by changing the height of the habitat's barrier. Okay then, you should start by double-clicking the habitat barrier, which will take you into barrier editing mode. Great. Now highlight the entire perimeter of the habitat. You can do that by clicking and dragging the barrier selection tool. Now you've got all of the perimeter selected, you can increase the height of it by clicking and dragging the barrier height tool upwards. You'll want to make sure it reaches a height of at least 3.7 meters.
Well, I'm not at 4 point. I'm at 4 meters, so...
Now that the habitat is in place, don't forget to put down a donation box near to your viewing areas. We need every dollar we can get. Especially as these tigers aren't exactly eating instant noodles for lunch.
Alright.
Okay, that's the habitat boundary complete, the habitat gate's in place, and most importantly, the tigers won't be able to jump out of it anymore. I think it's time we adopted those tigers.
Yay!
Whilst our trusty caretakers collect and deliver the tigers, let's take a look at preparing the habitat for their arrival. We'll start with the basics. Add a suitable feeding station for them.
I'll put that near the donation box.
This time, instead of adding a water bowl, let's try something different. Some animals need a pool in their habitat so they can go for a swim, but they can also use it to drink from. All you have to do is make sure the banks of the pool have a gentle slope so they can easily get a nice, refreshing drink. There's already a pool excavated, but you still need to fill it with water. You should do that by going into terrain and selecting the water tool.
So add water.
Yes, that'll do nicely. Of course, just like the warthogs and ostriches, these tigers will also need some enrichment. Why don't you add some suitable toy and food enrichment items into their habitat?
You highlight the wall to where you want it to go. Right, so you got to highlight the wall to where you want it to go to. Right, okay.
Okay, it's really starting to take shape. Now, the tigers will need a shelter in their habitat so they can hide from the guests, or more likely, the bad weather. Although, given that we're in England, you might want to think of that just as normal weather. Go on, add a shelter to their habitat. You can either build one from various suitable bits and bobs, or if you like, just pop down the blueprint that I've already built for you.
I'll put the shelter near the water.
Oh, poor Dabs. I'm sure it can't have escaped your attention that the tigers look a bit miffed. That's because they aren't too keen on the type of terrain in their habitat. Select a tiger and bring up its information panel.
There might be more plants.
Rightio. Click on the Terrain tab. That way you can view the terrain information and see how they feel about the different types of terrain. That'll tell you what the tigers need more of or less of in this habitat. Okay then, open the Terrain Editing tool, select Painting, and give them some more soil. Yes, that should help with the habitat part of their welfare.
There we go. The grass lawn. Where would I put long grass if I've used up all that already? How much long grass do you need? Less long grass, right?
Right then. All animals need plants and trees from their own biome or
Right.
continent. You know, deserts, savannas, or Asia, Europe, that sort of thing. It looks like these tigers need a few more plants in their habitat. To get a perfect fit, use plants from the rainforest and temperate biomes that are native to Asia. Although if you have to, you can get away with using just one or the other. The tigers will also want a certain amount of their habitat to be covered by those plants. To find out which plants to use and how many, select a tiger and go to the Environment tab. Now, as you can see, some of the plants currently in the habitat aren't quite right for the tiger, like the wattle bushes. You can remove them if you want. You can find all of the plants you need in the nature section, and you can use the filters to only show the types of plants you want to see. In this case, that's plants from the rainforest or temperate biomes.
How do I remove the wattle bushes? Select them in the marsh. You. Information, please. Pick for an acacia tree. Right, okay. How much plants do they want? Right, so there we go.
They say that good fences make good neighbors. I guess that's doubly true when one of the neighbors is a Bengal tiger. Still, those tigers look so happy that I doubt they'd leave. Even if you did poke a hole in their fence.
Can I?
Oh, but for heaven's sake, don't test that theory.
Oh, come on. I want you to poke a hole in the fence and watch the tigers eat the people.
Right. Let's head over to the Indian peafowls. I've been told that we need to improve their social welfare. Now then, just find one of the peafowls and select them to open an information panel. Then we can have a good gander at how they're doing. Although technically, I suppose gandering would just be for geese.
There they are. They want more adults.
Expand their social welfare, and we can get a bit more detail. Right, as you can see, the peafowls need their population to be larger. To solve this little problem, you'll need to adopt 3 more female peafowls. Off you pop to the animal market then. Good work on those peafowls. I expect they'll be delivered soon. But sadly, it sounds like our snow leopard is a bit grumpy. Let's head over there and see what's wrong with her.
Oh, look at the little cutie.
Just like people, animals can suffer from stress if
Yeah.
things aren't quite right. You know, like when you see someone put in the milk before the tea bag. In the case of these snow leopards, they're a bit stressed by their lack of privacy. You can lower their stress levels by swapping out the normal glass barrier by their cave for one-way glass. It's not a cheap option, but I think they're worth the expense, don't you? This will give the snow leopards somewhere to go when they want to get away from the prying eyes of the guests.
Oh, not bad.
Of course, when an animal isn't in its natural biome, it's probably going to be too hot or too cold. Unsurprisingly for the snow leopards, it's too hot, even with the terrible British weather. You should help cool it down by adding some coolers to their habitat. But let's start by opening up the temperature heat map and having a look-see at the temperature in the leopard's habitat. As you can see, we already have one cooler in there. Let's pop some more down and get as much of the habitat as chilly as we can. Luckily for us, this habitat already has power, but you'll need to make sure of that in the future. Just so you know, if any part of a habitat is powered, then the whole habitat will be powered. You can find heat maps for all sorts of helpful things, so do be sure to explore them and make good use of them. It'll take a little while for the temperature to adjust once you've added coolers or
Right.
heaters, but now we've got the coolers in, we can address the leopard's terrain welfare. You see, what the leopards really want in here is snow and rock, so let's make that happen.
Where are the leopards? I wish to click on a leopard and see which it wants. The leopard! Where are you? It's vanished. Our leopard has escaped. Did you let the leopard out? There he is. Aha! That's what we're doing. Terrain. It's got too much grass. Correct amount of rock. Less grass long. More snow. Okay, so replace the grass with the snow.
All of that should give you a pretty good understanding of how to make animals happy. So I'd like you to go and check on all the other animals in the zoo and fix up any issues with their habitats. That'll increase the average welfare of the animals across the whole zoo. And that average welfare is a very important statistic. Now, to quickly see how all your animals are doing in the zoo, you should go into zoo management and then into the animals section.
Right, so...
As you can see, this list shows you the animals' overall welfare. So, if something's amiss, then you can quickly pop over to them using the locate button. Right, I'm off for a cuppa while you make sure all the animals are well looked after.
How did I just go to them? No, I don't want to get contraceptives to that. Oh, no. Ah. Don't fucking eat, you'll be happy then. Okay. So that animal was just being a bit quad. Right, so... welfare, enrichment. Can I filter by species? Yes, I want... what is this fucking... a giraffe? Articulated giraffe at that. Right, that was easy enough. Tortoise is next. What's up with you? You want enrichment. Okay. Search by species or Aldabra fucking giant tortoise. Okay. And habitat. They want a shelter. Okay, and they want some terrain issues. They want more long grass. Is that because I placed the shelter down and took away the... Right, so let's have a look. So terrain is fine until... no. Okay, so... Right. They need more sand and more long grass. Oh boy. There we go. Right, so next up is the zebras. You want terrain and plants and enrichment. Oh dear lord. Food enrichment, okay. So we'll go for plain zebra.
Not bad. Not bad at all. I think it's fair to say that you've passed the first part of your training with flying colours. There's still lots more to learn, but we'll have to head to another one of Bernie's zoos for that. If you want to grab your passport, we'll head off, shall we?
Sounds like you've got the whole zoo purring away nicely. Well, purring, grunting, screaming, booming. All the appropriate noises. I guess I was right to hire you, huh? Don't tell her I told you, but Nancy wasn't sure you'd even last the morning. So, we're happy this is working out. And Nancy owes me a Foxy coffee. As strange as it seems, considering we just met, when I look at you, I feel like you're the child I never had. After the one I did have, obviously. But you see, zookeeping's not for my daughter. Don't get me wrong. Emma absolutely loves animals, but she set her sights somewhat higher. Wants to save the entire planet. I'll just settle for saving a couple of species. Oh, and maybe having a type of frog named after me.
Right, can I change the paint size? There we go. We don't need terrain. You want more plants though. A grassland biome, okay. Can't I just click on this and do it from here? No, it highlights what one's that though. Oh. Well, yeah. We somehow got that back to normal. So, yes. Next species. There's no poison frogs, so because that just oh no, it's fine now, so it's 8. I'm in my own zoo. I'm visiting my own zoo. Well, what can you say? I'm visiting my own zoo for some reason. Hi there, me. Can I pick myself up and drop myself in the tiger pen? You can adopt animals, or guests can adopt animals. Okay. I suppose the zookeepers will take care of that at some point. Yes, so if I put the zookeepers at the back of the animal. There's no zookeepers here. Ah, that explains why they're having a bad time of it then, wouldn't it? There we go. That should solve that problem. Now what fluffies have we got in our zoo? Oh, let's have a look at the timber rules. Yeah, get a screenshot of that one. Hello there. Hello there. Who's up with the timber rule? Who's with the timber rule? Yes, hello. 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 How are you? Yes. How are you? Oh. No, I'm talking to the one in the game channel. Oh, yeah, me go for the bath. Was that a bad thing? Was that a bad thing? The wash and yeah. Okay, yeah, that's enough of that. Okay, so they animated that too. Okay. There's a choo-choo train that is around the whole park, by the looks of it. Yeah, there it is. So this must be a ride to get on. Oh wait, I can go fucking drink some water then. Jesus Christ, your animal's thirsty. Well, it's his own fault for not drinking. Well, anyway, I'm going to end it there because, and I'll go. I shall see you all later because I have more to do. It's probably night with Monkey Show. So see you all then. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.